Hi, I'm Vanshika. On today's agenda, we're going to dive into the art of canning, your ultimate guide to preserving food for the future. Here on this channel, I share all sorts of food processing tips and tricks. So let's get started and turn those fresh ingredients into something special. So here's what we're going to cover in this canning presentation. We'll start with the definition of canning and understand exactly what it means. Then we'll talk about why canning even started in the first place, followed by a little dive into its history and how it was invented. After that, we'll explore why canning is so important and which fruits and vegetables are perfect for canning. Then we'll walk through the actual process of canning step by step, take a look at the machine used, and chat about the precautions you need to keep in mind. We'll also cover how to test for defects in canned products. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with a solid conclusion. So let's get started. Moving on to the canning definition. So essentially, canning is all about preservation through heat treatment. What does that mean? Well, we use heat to kill off microbes, microorganisms, and enzymes that could spoil the food. Then we seal the food in airtight container to keep it safe from getting contaminated again. And the best part, the whole process helps to maintain the nutritional value, the flavor, the texture of the food for really long shelf life. So that's canning in a nutshell. So the question arises, why canning even started? Well, it all began out of necessity. During wars and long voyages, people needed a safe way to keep food from spoiling. By canning, they locked in freshness and made sure they had reliable food supplies even when fresh produce wasn't available. It also helped to reduce food wastage and provided a sense of food security during times of scarcity. In other words, it gave people peace of mind knowing they would have food ready when they needed it. Alright, let's talk about the history and invention of canning. The whole process was actually invented by a Frenchman named Nicolas Appert around 1809. He first used glass jars to preserve food, which was a groundbreaking idea at the time. Then, just a year later, in 1810, Peter Durant patented the use of tin cans, which made the whole process even more efficient and practical. So that's the quick story of how canning got it started. Moving on to the importance of canning. First, it means you can enjoy seasonal produce any time of the year, whether it's summer peaches in winter or spring's veggies later on. Plus, it helps to maintain the nutrition and taste of your food, so you're not losing out on flavor or vitamins. On top of that, canned goods are super easy to store and transport, making them really convenient. And of course, it cuts down on wastage of food. So we're making the most out of what we have. And that's the beauty of canning. Moving on to the fruits and vegetables suitable for canning. So, for fruits, you have got things like mangoes, pineapples, peaches, strawberries, and cherries. They all can really well. On the veggie side, you have got peas, beans, carrot, tomatoes, and corn that are perfect for canning. The main thing is just to start with fresh, high quality produce. And that's the simple formula for picking the right fruits and veggies for canning. Moving on to the process of canning. First, you have got preparation. That means washing, peeling, and cutting your food. Then you do a quick blanching, which is basically partially cooking to stop those enzymes. Next, you fill the cans with your food and some syrup or brine. After that, you do what's called exhausting, which just means removing air before sealing. Then you seal the lid on tight using a seaming machine. After that, you sterilize the cans by heating them up around 115 degrees Celsius to 121 degrees Celsius. Then you cool them quickly so they don't overcook. And finally, you label, pack, store, and get them ready for distribution. And yeah, that's the whole process of canning in nutshell. Alright, let's talk about the machines used in canning. First up, you have got the can reforming machine, which shape those tin can into right form. Next, there's a seaming machine. It seals the lid onto the can, making sure everything's nice and tight. Then we have got the retort or autoclave, which sterilizes the sealed cans under steam pressure. And finally, there's the can washer and labeling machine, which cleans the cans and add those labels for packaging. And yeah, that's it. So when you're canning, there are some key precautions to keep in mind. First, make sure you properly sterilize all containers so everything stays safe. Then use the correct temperature and time to process your cans. Also avoid overfilling. Leave a little headspace so everything seals properly. Always use fresh high quality raw material. And finally, ensure an airtight seal so no air can sneak in. For the next slide, we're talking about the testing defects in canned products. First, if you see a swollen can, that's the sign of microbial growth inside. Next, things like rust, leaks, or dents means there's a risk of contamination. If you notice off flavors or discoloration, that usually points to spoilage. And if the liquid inside looks cloudy, that can mean the processing wasn't done properly. So keep an eye out of these defects to make sure your canned products are safe and high quality. So in conclusion, canning is a reliable preservation method that helps to keep food safe and nutritious. It reduces food wastage, support food security and makes seasonal produce available throughout the year. And that's the big picture on why canning is such a great go-to technique. Alright, that's all for now. If you want more content on food tech and food processing, make sure to follow, like, share, and subscribe to stay tuned for more. Thanks for watching and see you next time.